Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. If you're looking at the bearded one, it must be Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii, 5 a.m. tomorrow out in Indonesia, and 9 a.m. out in Australia. Welcome everybody to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. My name is Tom Springer, and I'm the host of the show. If this is your first time being here, welcome. If you are a repeat offender, also known as a family, welcome back. Glad you guys are here. Um, I'm really excited about this one because I have kind of been watching Tori ever since she's kind of been doing some investigating stuff, but then she's added a little extra. Now, if anybody has actually read the write up that I put out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I know that 90% of you, 95, 99.9% of you, do not read my write ups. You just simply look at the pretty face of the girl that's next to me or the really pretty man face of the guy next to me, and then you look at the bearded one, and you're like, cool, they're on at 7 p.m. Central, and I'll just go out there Monday and watch that. But with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my next guest. So let's say hello to Miss Tori, everybody. Hi, Tori.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So first off, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for
Um,
having me. I
yep,
appreciate the opportunity.
absolutely. So like I said, a handful of people will be popping in. So Stuart, hey Stuart, how you doing, brother? Um, so he's actually he's one of our originals that keeps watching because that's just his fault.
I love
Because
it.
he's a repeat offender.
I mean, I
Um,
could see why. You're fun. You're
And
fun.
then, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And there's Miss Kathy saying hello as well.
Hi,
And then we have,
Kathy.
and then hello, first time here. Hello, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. Um, and you get to watch Tori. That's even amazing.
I have big shoes to fill.
This name I always say out loud because I can pronounce it. I like to say hello to Uilani Ku'ule. She's out of Hawaii, but most people call her Mary, or they call her Uilani. So if you'll feel free to use either one.
Hi, Mary.
Um, but much safer for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Kathy's saying hello to you. Um,
Hi,
my
Kathy.
beautiful wife is saying hello to you. So she's right
Hi.
there. Even though she spelled your name wrong. T O
That's
R
okay.
Y. T O R Y.
I mean,
Um,
I've been called Tony and Troy, so
oh, well, there
I
you
mean,
go.
I
So,
I feel like she wins. It's fine.
um, excuse me. I was out in the lake, so I'm a little parched right now. So,
I
it's
feel
90,
you. I was at the pool all day, so
well, 90
I
some odd
feel you.
degrees out here. So, geez, are you guys getting the same heat we are?
I think it was 85
Hmm.
here.
We golfed and it was 91 degrees, and my wife
Woo.
made a hole in one today. So, yes.
Nice. She
Yep.
showed you up.
She got it. She got it before I did. It was incredible. Well, but it was fantastic. Um, and for those people who don't know, which is including you, Tori, I actually do not drink. I look like this on purpose without drinking. So imagine what I look like if I did drink. That would be terrible. But because she made her hole in one, I actually took a shot with her.
Oh,
I
nice.
lived up to what I'm supposed to do when I took a shot with my wife. Um,
I like it.
but again, thank you for coming on the show. You're not far from me. You're like 2.5 hours south of me, I believe. You're in the Kansas City area, right? So we're down around there.
I'm further south. I'm in southeast Kansas, so I'm about depending on where you're at in Kansas City. I'm
Oh,
about two.
I'm actually up in Plattsmouth, Nebraska. I'm up by Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh yeah, so you're about 4 hours from me ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
still an
I
easy
go up
drive.
that way when I go to Malvern.
Oh yeah, that's our stomping grounds. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We hang out with Josh when we're over there and say hi to him and all that wonderful
awesome.
stuff. So, yeah. In fact, we're trying to get together. I just finished doing a Mystic Fest up here, where it was just a weekend of a lot of people doing readings, a lot of jewelry and trinkets and tarot cards and everything else. And Nikki and I showed up just to advertise this show, and then also the fact that we do a home investigation team as well, a larger team. But
Nice.
but we were there, and it was just kind of interesting to see how that worked out. And so I'm kind of curious because this is going to turn to something I'm going to ask you later to see if you do any of these shows. Do you go to any of these types of shows, or are you planning on going to any of these types of shows now that you have a little something something called a haunted mortuary?
Right. I am signed up to be a vendor at the Paracon KC. That's
Okay.
August 2nd, and
Okay.
that's in Leavenworth. I do know that they're still looking for vendors.
Cool.
I think their vendor tables are only 75 bucks.
Wow. I'll have to
Um,
see. I
yeah.
I may be out of state. I may either be. I may be out in Mountain Home, Idaho at the time, but I have to see, depending on what work does with me or not. But
Yeah.
but I am jumping way ahead of the game. So hold on, let me start this again
All
because
right.
I am a little flustered still by my wife's hole in one that's got me all kind of jacked. So,
She
um,
got you all messed up.
do me a favor. Um,
Okay.
introduce yourself. Tell people what you do and how you got into doing it.
Well, my name is Tori, and I am a paranormal nerd. I like to investigate. I'm owner of the Sleeper Mortuary in Iola, Kansas. I'm also a mom, a published author, and an agency nurse.
Awesome.
I'm
So
terrible about talking about myself. I'm horrible at
I
it.
I know I modified your write up to me
Yeah.
because you were missing some parts and I knew what the holes were to fill in. So, uh, but
Yeah.
yes. So first, I want to ask you about this because you are, and I know this isn't up to the paranormal or anything else, but I'm just curious because you're an agency nurse,
Uh-huh.
and so that means you're a traveling,
Yes.
you're a traveling nurse. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, because I was very interested in that, and I really appreciate the fact that you do that. So thank you for doing what you
Oh,
do.
thank you.
Um, because when you and I were texting back and forth, you were like, "Oh, well, I'm working right now." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. I know you're a nurse, but I wasn't sure if you're a traveling nurse or not." So good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so that's gonna. Oh, see, I already have different questions going on in my head. Jesus, play along, Tom.
You're fine.
Um,
You're
how
fine.
long? How long have you been doing the investigating stuff?
I've been interested, excuse me, I had like a little small tongue tie there. I've been interested in the paranormal for, I would say I've been dabbling for probably the last, oh God, 20 years or more,
Really?
right around in there.
Yeah.
I've been like hardcore investigating, I would say probably for the last 6 to 7.
Okay.
Um, I grew up in a haunted house, so a lot of my paranormal experiences were kind of very early, and that's kind of what catapulted me into the interest and the exploration of, I would say. So, yeah.
Was it was it just was it so since you've been doing it for a while, was it simply trying to find a way to get over like maybe I don't want to say scared, but the unknown, the unfamiliar, and just trying to figure out more about it, or is it just like screw it, let's just go in both guns ablazing, and I don't care what happens. So
Well, I think that like my idea of it has changed over time. Because or the reasons why I do it, I guess I should say. What catapulted me into it in the beginning was the fact that I grew up in a haunted house, and I started like messing with Ouija boards when I was, gosh, 13
oh, see,
probably.
always the Ouija
I
boards.
I would go to graveyards, and I would go to like all of the, local just places where there was stories of ghosts and things. So would I say that I come out of those areas with any kind of thing that I could say was paranormal? No.
Yeah.
But I did explore it, and it was just kind of a very amateur um, version of what I am today. I've been involved in healthcare for a very long time.
Hmm.
I started working on an ambulance when I was 18 years old,
Oh
and I
wow.
worked for an ambulance service for 16 years, and then I became a nurse, and I've been working as a nurse since then. And for me, present day, I see a lot of death. I see a lot of despair, and I see a lot of people on their worst days that
Mhm.
they'll ever have in their life. And for me to just having all of that experience with death and dying, I just really am curious about what is on the other side of that. What do people have to look forward to? Because for us it's a very sad thing, and it's a very devastating thing. See, your little ghosties are acting up over there.
Right. That's been up there for about 3 years, and all of a sudden it falls.
It's Lyman.
Oh,
That's what we say when anything goes wrong
yeah.
at the mortuary or some weird happens. I'll say, "Damn it, Lyman."
Well, I literally have to hold pieces of shungite by my computer because normally I break the computer when I'm on a show with somebody. Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
so when you and this goes back even to when you started ambulance work and now to where you're at now,
Mhm.
tied with your medical. I'm just curious. Have you they show a lot of it on TV and it's a lot of it is a lot of it's documented or whatever else, but it's always a playback of someone else's story. But have you seen anything during someone's passing, like the white light or anything along the lines of showing that something is there with the person or something is there to take the person with them or anything along the lines?
Yeah, I would say so. I did some end of life care in my career where people were on hospice or they were actively dying. I mean, there's really no easy way to put it,
Oh,
but
that's
they were
fine.
actively dying. And I've seen things that I wouldn't say paranormal wise, like in the room or anything like that, but sometimes they will begin to talk to people that are not there, and they
Right,
will reference people that have passed. And like, I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. Like,
right,
I really don't. Like, because I feel like when people are dying, they are like, I just don't feel like they're alone. I do believe that there's family or whoever, guardian angels, if that's what you believe in, or um, guides or whatever. I think that they're all there to help you transition into what you're supposed to do next.
right, right. Yeah, because I was just wondering because I'm leading us down a path right here for some reason. For some reason, because now that you work in the hospitals, I was kind of curious too if you've ever seen anything odd and weird in the hospital
I have.
when you're working in the hospitals. You're like that. Just no, that's not normal during my day of working. So,
I have. I've seen, actually, in almost every single hospital that I've worked in, something paranormal has happened.
oh yeah,
It's, but I mean, I kind of feel like it's expected, really, because when you're in a place that has like a high amount of energy in it, just simply
right,
because, I mean, you have trauma and you have death and dying and all of those things, not to mention like people that absolutely loved working at the place they're at. I imagine that there's spirits there that used to work there and they like to hang out there for
yeah,
whatever reason. Personally, I don't like to be at work most of the time, but I mean, I'm not everybody. So
yeah.
like who knows? You know, I mean, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but if I had a choice on where I could spend time, it wouldn't be at
It
work.
wouldn't be at work. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I think one of the coolest stories that I have as far as that goes, we had a patient, I work in an ER. We
Hmm.
had a patient come in and her they walked into the room and the particular complaint that they had, and I have to be careful about what I say and what I
Right.
don't say for, privacy reasons.
Yep.
But the complaint that they had, we had to do some tests, and we had that person sit down on the bed, and they had another family member with them, and they sat down in the chair. And my aide, or my nurse tech that was with me, was getting ready to do what we needed to do for the complaint that they came in for. And we heard, like, it was like, I call it a scream whisper, and it's the same stuff I hear at the mortuary too, oddly enough. And I didn't even put that together till now, but it was just kind of like a and I was like, I looked at her and she looked at me and she goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, I sure did. This is my tech telling me. And then we looked over at the family member that came with the patient, and they were looking at us like, I heard that, but I'm not going to acknowledge it.
Right. Nope. Nope.
And
That
the
was,
patient burst into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on, And come to find out, like a year prior,
mhm.
that patient's spouse had a medical emergency and passed away in that room.
Oh. Hmm.
Was it the spouse? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an interesting dynamic, and then like me, I'm just like I'm carrying on doing what I need to do because as an investigator, that's kind of things that you're used to.
Right.
Nobody else wanted to go in there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nurse Take's like, no, go by yourself. We're good. I'll wait for you out here if you need me. But you got to come out here to ask me.
But I can say that that was the only time that somebody that was not involved in the paranormal nor had any kind of interest in it, three people to be exact, acknowledged something that we heard verbally that there was no explanation for.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I go to one of the same places because we talked about this behind,
Yeah.
a little beforehand, at Malvern Manor, and it's really interesting because you talked earlier. You said, well, some people may be here because they liked working here, and this is where they worked at and everything else. And I have a shot when I was taking with my phone camera, and I'm
Hmm.
standing in the hallway, and I take a series of 5 shots, and you see right there at the nurse's station too, so you know where I'm at.
Hmm.
And you see nothing, nothing, then a long white streak, and then nothing, nothing. And I was like, huh, I wonder
Interesting.
what that was. And even when I showed it to Josh, he's like, good, I put that up there. He's like, shut the fuck up. Like, he's like, we've never seen this before. What the heck? He goes, this is your first time here and you're already getting stuff. So,
Yeah. I
so
was just talking about the manor to a friend of mine because like I just that place never fails to deliver.
no, it
Like
really doesn't.
it's always delivered for me.
Yeah. It has for us too. It's funny because when we were at the Mystic Fest this weekend, a lot of people brought up, um, have you guys gone to Velisca Manor, Velisca House and stuff like that? We're like, yeah. We're like, but Malvern Manor is a lot better,
Hmm.
because we went to, um, when we went to Velisca, it was kind of, you could feel the heaviness and the sadness, but we really didn't get anything.
Hmm.
We got a couple
Same.
things on our little Ovilus Chattergeist thing we have. A couple things really lined up well with the questions I was asking. Um, but outside of that, we really got nothing. But when we go to Malvern, yeah, I mean, even Nikki's replying here. She even says, replying, oops, wrong one. She said, I had my best EVP at Malvern in Inez's
Yeah.
room. She was actually sitting, seeing the little girl Inez. Um, a tour group came through on that Saturday, Sunday, and we went there Sunday afternoon, evening. And Nikki's a teacher, so she works really well with kids, and she has a really good energy for kids. And she was sitting there, and she was holding her phone, and I'm in the hallway, but I'm making absolutely zero noise. I don't even know if Nikki knew I was there, but I could hear her, and she's sitting on the floor, and I hear her say, "Hi, Inez. My name's Nikki." And she says, "I heard you had a lot of people come through here. I bet you're really tired, don't aren't you?" We couldn't hear anything at all, but then we play it back on her phone, and you hear a little girl go, "Yeah, I'm really tired." So it
Oh,
was it was like perfect, and it was like right after she asked the question. So yeah, you're right.
that's
Malvern doesn't
awesome.
disappoint, and I'm
No.
kind of sad that a lot of people don't know more about Malvern. I mean,
Hmm.
it's to me, it's like one of the better places to go to because
Hmm.
have you gone overnight there?
Oh yeah.
So you know the switch between daytime and nighttime. There's a
Yes.
huge switch that happens between the two. For
Yep.
everybody watching us who does not know, Malvern Manor is in Malvern, Iowa, which isn't too far away from where I'm at. It's like a half an hour from me, just to the east. And daytime, it's a great place to go investigate if it's your first time investigating.
Hmm.
And if you're scared, this is a great first time to go to during the day. At night, it flips. They have the Shadow Man, they have the Captain, they have a couple other things that are in there at night. And one of the teammates that we used to be a teammate with, he's a bigger version of me, and I'm not small. But he's like 6'2", 6'3", maybe 340, 350, and he was sleeping in his cot in his sleeping bag, and something picked him up in his sleeping bag and slammed him to the ground. There in the big wooden room right up at the front. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
the parlor.
yep, out in the parlor. So he decided his best bet was to go sleep in the truck for the rest of the night. So
Uh,
he was,
I would have just passed out. I would have left.
yeah, he
I
ended up
bounced.
sleeping in the truck the rest of the night. Came back when it was daylight again.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd
but
have
yeah,
been all done.
yep, I know. I would have probably been like, all right, I'll come to get this stuff tomorrow. But
Yeah.
Josh, just pawn it now. Just send me the money.
Right. Right. Oh man,
So
that would have got me.
with that, I want to switch gears to your new place that you recently
Yes, sir.
purchased. And can you please introduce it and tell us a little about the wonderful new place that you have purchased?
Um,
Um, and let us know all about it.
yes, so I purchased Sleeper Mortuary in January of this year. I actually found it by accident. I had been scouting for a location for probably about 5 years. I'd been looking. It was kind of on the bucket list of items. I've written books, and it's kind of a bucket list item for me. I care very much about the dead, and I care about stories and preserving memories and just people.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I came across it. It was advertised as a residential home. And when I was looking at it, I was like, man, that looks very reminiscent to what a local funeral home where I live, because I do not live in the same town as the mortuary. And I Googled the address and done my little searchy search stuff because I'm a nerd. And lo and behold, it was a funeral home.
Awesome.
So my realtor was actually Stephanie, who owns McIntyre Villa.
Yep.
She's also a realtor, and we bought it. So Sleeper Mortuary originally was built in 1886 by Lyman Sleeper, and he was a furniture maker. And back in the day, it was very common to see furniture stores and mortuaries kind of combined because they
Right.
kind of double dipped into that pot because they had a talent of making furniture, so they would make their own coffins. So the original structure was called Sleeper Furniture and Undertaking. um
Awesome.
yeah. So the building stood all the way up until 1915, and it burnt down. It burnt down in January of 1915, and Lyman died. Lyman Sleeper died that same year. So his son, Alan, also known as A.R. Sleeper, took over the family business, and my building was built in the same spot as the original Sleeper mortuary in 1920. And it operated as a funeral home all the way up until 1998 when it closed. For the first, well, I don't even know how long the college had it, but it was a college dorm at one point. There
I
are,
really love that.
yeah, there is a story to be told there. Um, and then it was like a law firm, I think, at one point in time, and it was kind of like a bunch of like little businesses. Like it was like a flea market, a photography studio, the college dorms, until an attorney bought it, and an attorney had his office out of there. And then the person that I purchased it from bought it almost 10 years ago, and then I bought it from him in January.
So is that person using it as a home?
Yes.
Oh,
He
okay.
was living in the second floor.
Huh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I wonder how many, just because you're talking about the dorm stuff, I'm just couldn't imagine how many times it was like, all right, did that really happen, or did I just have way too much to drink that night? So,
Right. So, um, my first group was in on January 12th of this year. I
mhm.
purchased it on the 9th. My first group was on the 12th. And the one of the group, or one of the people in the group, they were telling me about how they were hearing voices coming out of the elevator shaft because there was an old freight elevator in the building, and I took that freight elevator out and I added stairs to
Mm,
make it safe for
safe.
people to
Yeah.
go in and out. So they were telling me about voices that they were hearing coming from the elevator shaft. Now, the previous owner, he helps me to this day. He still has keys to the mortuary. He helps me. He thinks it's cool that I'm doing what I'm doing, and he's very much a part of it and wants to be involved in it. And he's super awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
he was there getting some mail that was because the addresses haven't switched yet. So he was there getting some mail, and he asked me how the group did the night before because he knew that there was a group coming in, and I told him that they were hearing voices coming out of the elevator shaft. And he goes, huh. He says, well, do you know that it used to be a college dorm at one point? And I said, yeah. He goes, do you know why it's not anymore? And I was like, no, but I bet you're about to tell me.
Yeah.
So he told me that the college kids there were reporting paranormal activity to whoever runs the dorms. I don't know if it's like, I don't know what you call them, like a hall monitor, or if it was just administration.
Mhm.
Like, I'm unsure if anybody lived on property
Mm.
with them to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, like the dorms that you have at standard colleges or whatever.
Right.
Um, and he said that they were reporting paranormal activity, but nobody was really listening. And then one night, one of the college students that was living in there had a sudden change in demeanor. He ran down the hallway to the elevator shaft, and he was trying to jump down the elevator shaft, but his friends tackled him and did not allow him to jump. They described it as him throwing them off of him like rag dolls,
Wow.
where he then ran down the long hallway on the second floor, down the spiral staircase, went out onto the street where his friends tackled him again. I don't know what happened to him after that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have anything that can prove that story. I don't have documentation outside of, a story
Right.
that was told to me. But what I can prove and what I can document is that it was only a college dorm for 3 months.
Oh, okay.
I was told that every college student that lived there that night, they packed up their stuff, they left, and they never went back.
Hmm. That'd be
Now,
interesting to find out who was there at that time and talk to them.
yeah. So then I was talking to a police officer several months later, and I was telling this police officer, if you have officers that have never been in this building, you guys are more than welcome to filter through here, walk around, get a lay of the land in the event that you have to clear the building or there's an emergency, so you're not walking into an unknown
Right.
layout or so you know your surroundings. And he said, oh, he said, I've been a police officer for a long time. I've been in here lots of times. And he said, back when it was a college dorm, he said they would get 911 calls all the time for people in the building. The college kids were hearing people in the building and they were calling 911 for intruders. And then they would come to clear the building and nobody would ever be here other than the college students.
Huh. So are you hearing the same voices in there, or do you assume it could be the same voices that are in there?
I absolutely hear voices in there, 1000%. I've caught several disembodied voices on camera
Oh, awesome.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. So you do allow um, groups to come in there to investigate.
I do. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's a
Fantastic.
bookable venue.
Okay. Oh, you know what? And here I am talking to this whole time. You should have slapped me in the face and said, "Hey, don't forget to throw this up there because
Oh
that's
no, you're fine.
so."
I didn't even notice, if I'm honest.
So hey, right there, people, look at that! Ta-da! Just what we're talking about, right there.
Yep.
Um, yeah, because it's funny because Nikki and I actually talked about it because one of the first places we went to was Mac and Trevilla, and I go, "Oh, that's Stephanie's place,"
Mhm.
and I said, "Well, Tory has a mortuary down in that area too." I said, "We should probably see if we can go to those." Um, I honestly think Nikki may have to remind me of this where we were, but I think my awakening, because my awakening only happened like 3 years ago, so I actually have abilities, but it only happened like 3 years ago, and I think it happened in McIntyre Villa. I'm not
Oh,
100% sure, but
nice.
it might have happened right there. So which leads me to ask: do you have anything? Do you have any wonderful abilities that you are
Um,
unsure of,
you
or not wanting to claim, or?
you could say I'm sensitive.
Okay.
I don't ever really talk about it a whole lot. I don't know. I know things sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I also think that once you're in the paranormal for a um, period of time, you kind of become attuned to certain things that
Right.
probably normal people wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
But that's only because you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. You recognize a lot of the subtleties.
Yeah.
So that happen all the time. Like you'll notice when temperatures change, or
Hmm.
your hair may stand up a little bit on your arms
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You're like, okay, what's going on? Why did the
Yeah.
energy change in here? So, yep, yep. I haven't been doing it that long, but for some reason I get all the weird
Yeah.
stuff that goes along with it too. Um, you mentioned I was going to bring this up anyways, but I'm glad you brought it up. You mentioned your books, and you have
Mhm.
8 books, right?
I do.
And they are part of the We Are series.
Hmm.
You want to talk about those?
Yeah. So, the first book that I ever wrote was "We Are Malvern Manor." And the that book kind of spawned because when I first went to Malvern Manor, I had asked Josh if he knew how many people passed away in the building itself, and he said he did not.
Hmm,
I think in my brain at the time, a lot of people connect the number of deaths with how haunted it may or may not be.
right,
But I mean, that's also valid. That I mean, people aren't wrong thinking
right,
that,
cool,
but that is ultimately what led me to start researching because I'm like, well, I want to know. Like, I want to
right,
know how many people have died in here. And so far to date, I've found just under 200 people that passed away in Malvern Manor that I can 100% prove.
right,
Now, there are others. There's a list of a whole lot of names that I'm fairly certain, just knowing what I know throughout all of my books, I'm fairly certain they passed away there, but I cannot prove it because it does not plainly say it. If it doesn't blatantly say it, it doesn't go in the book because I cannot 1000% prove that it happened.
right.
So all of it is fact based.
Yeah,
So basically, I go through and I do research on a place like that, and I find all of the deaths that I can prove happened on that property. I take all of those names and I put them in alphabetical order by first name, and their name appears on the lower right hand corner of the page.
mhm,
That is so that when you're flipping through, you can find them quickly and you can find them easily. And usually, when you're using any kind of communication device and you get a name, it's typically their first name. So that is why it's in the order that it's in. On their page, each person has a page, and on their page has everything that I can find about them. It has their obituaries, death announcements, death certificates if they're available, their Find a Grave information. Find a Grave is a super useful site. It's findagrave.com, and you can essentially find any grave in the U.S. That somebody has put in. Obviously, not everybody has one.
right,
During this process of research, when I am looking at their Find a Grave information, if they don't have a Find a Grave, then I create the one for them. And if they do have one, then I upload all of the information that I found on that person so that family members that may or may not be looking for these people have information that I pay to have. So I'm just kind of paying it forward in that regard because I, pay monthly website fees and all of that. So, also in these books, I have an interesting news section, and that news section contains everything about the property that one might consider interesting: any fires, any accidents, weddings, births, whatever. When I read it, I look at it and I'm like, do I find this interesting to read? If I do, then it goes in there. That's how because I like the weird stuff. Like I like reading about weird stuff. Also in the back, it is in alphabetical order. There's indexes that put it in alphabetical order by last name, by month of death, and by year of death. So that if you get a year, then you can go and see who all died in that year, and hopefully it can kind of piece together something for you. But the premise of all of it is to give you um dialogue, to give you information about who you may or may not be speaking to. It gives you, like in an obituary, there's a lot of useful information, whether they were married, what they did for a living, nicknames, hobbies, all of that stuff. And it gives you an opportunity to establish a rapport with somebody.
right.
So they were created for paranormal investigators. They're meant to be written in, they're meant to take notes in. And yeah, so
That's fantastic. So, Nikki
yeah.
has a question for you.
Yes.
Um, Nikki says, which is the mystery of Inez? She was never a resident. And is it really Inez? What has your research told you?
I did find that Inez did exist.
Oh,
She is a real human, and honestly, what's kind of interesting with Malvern that I found was that you have Inez Gibson, and she died in, I believe, is either 18. It's I'm kind of rusty. 1899, I think. Hold on, I'm thinking. I think it was 1899 or 1900, somewhere around in there.
okay.
She did not die there, and that we know for a fact. What I do find interesting is we don't really have any idea of why she's there.
Right.
Now, spirits, I believe, can be transient in nature. Why they go to certain places, I don't know. It could be that she has people like other spirits there that she may have made a connection to. I did find that there was a girl named Eunice Stamper, and she died in 1909, I believe, from diphtheria.
Okay.
She died in the building as well. And she was also only 12 years old.
Wow.
So did Eunice kind of lure her there because there's another little girl? I
Right.
mean, I don't know. But one thing that I did find interesting, and I can't remember the year, I would have to fact check it. But when I did the book We Are Malvern Manor News, this was before I really started to figure out layouts because Malvern Manor was the first book that I did. We Are Malvern Manor News is the second book I did, and then We Are Edinburgh Manor was the third. And I've figured out new things along the way in creating all of these books. But I did find that her father, T.D. Gibson, was hit by a car,
Mm,
and he was taken to Malvern Manor, and he almost died there. Like he broke both of his legs, his lung was punctured, he was unconscious. They thought that he was going to pass away,
yeah.
and part of me wonders if maybe that's why she's there. That her father almost died there, and maybe she went there to be with him and
Yeah.
just never left. I don't know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but that's what I do know
But it's good that you
about.
actually, but it's good that you actually identified an Inez because I mean we were,
Yeah.
because at some point there was a lot of discussion of is the Inez that's there, is it actually Inez or is it something posing as Inez, to try to be very sweet and very lovable little girl, but it's actually something else that's taking on the form of Inez.
And that could be. I
Right.
mean, it still could be that way, but I do know that Inez Gibson was a little girl and she did exist.
Yep. So and
Yep,
you did Edinburgh as well, which means Kat Armstrong.
I do. She's
Um,
the one that asked me to do the book, actually.
oh, is she? Yeah,
Yep.
because we watched her do a live from Malvern Manor, reading the We Are Malvern Manor book,
Hmm.
and she was reading the names, and she was getting very good responses just by reading the names out while they were on the investigation.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was fantastic. So that I like the fact that they used the book, um, and I think they had the necromancer machine there is what they were using, but they just sitting there just reading the names, and all of a sudden you hear a name echo back at them.
Yeah.
It was really cool to be able to hear that, and you can hear it clear as day.
Yeah.
That's what it was using. So another question,
Yeah.
Tori, what is your favorite spirit at Malvern?
I would say my favorite spirit, let me think.
Got to be Hank.
Hank is kind of um he's kind of mean.
Yeah, he
Um,
is. He
hold
is.
on. I got hold on.
We're going for the
Sorry,
book. We're
kids.
going for the book.
Okay, it's fine. You're fine. Sorry.
Hi,
I'm
Stella.
so sorry.
Hi, Stella.
You're fine. Just stay away from it. It's in the grill. Okay, just leave it alone. Just stay away from it. So,
Mom stuff 101.
yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I'm on live stream right now and
Trust
I
me.
can't have this conversation, so you're gonna have to wait a minute.
We have we have kids, we have cats, we have dogs, we have it all. So it doesn't matter.
I'm so sorry.
All right.
So ask me that question again.
She would like
You-
to know Who is your favorite spirit at Malvern?
Um, let's see. Honestly, I really like Gracie.
Gracie? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to
She's in
give you context, she found a wasp nest in the grill.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're freaking
That's
out
what we're freaking out
about.
over. Yeah. No, we do that here too. We have the same
Yeah.
problem here. So,
I would say
oh,
Gracie is probably one of my favorites. I
yeah,
think, like, in my opinion, I think she's very misunderstood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Couple moments is what we're talking about here. So,
She's knocked on the door a few times and I was trying really hard to ignore it. But she wasn't letting me have that.
letting you off the hook. Nope.
Yeah, nope. But I think Gracie is very misunderstood.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, not for everybody, but I think that the her disorder has cast her in a certain light, perhaps, and that people may be more afraid than they need to be of her.
Right.
Um, I've not ever had anything but pleasant interaction anytime that I've had an interaction with her. Um, but I also know that spirits are kind of like people in that regard. Like, somebody may not get along with me the same way that you get along
Right.
with me. So I think it really just all depends on the rapport for Gracie and whoever she's communicating with.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I've sat in Gracie's room. I've laid down on her bed. I've kind of done a whole bunch of things, and she doesn't
Hmm.
really mind me being there.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. So
I've not really heard of anyone really having a bad interaction, honestly.
yeah,
I've heard that she likes the boys, but I don't, like, I'm not a boy, so I
yeah,
can't really confirm that.
yeah,
So, um, she may. I mean, I don't know, but definitely I think Gracie's probably one of the more misunderstood spirits there for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and Nikki says we haven't been to Edinburgh yet. Circumstances have kept us away, but can't wait to experience it. And that's my fault. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say my fault, but that's my reasoning because initially we were supposed to go to Edinburgh at one point, but I had a very dark vision happen that it
Um,
actually hurt Nikki. So I was like,
oh,
nope, we're not going this time. I said we can go another time, but right now there's something there that does not want you to be there and it's going to try to hurt you. I took her out of that picture. So we just didn't go. Um,
but that's valid.
yeah, and then
That's valid.
it's funny too because at one point there was a team that was investigating at Edinburgh, but I was watching live like this because Kat and them asked me, "Hey, can you jump online and just kind of watch and give us your
Mhm,
feels and let us know what's going on?" And they were down in the basement and they were heading towards the mechanics room. And
mhm.
one of the ladies went down there, sat there, and she stopped at the doorway and she goes, "Can I come in?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "You can come in." And I said, "But you have to be quiet." And so she went in there and she was just sitting there. Then a couple of the guys came down and they went to go ahead to the mechanics room and they didn't ask permission. And I said, "Hey, they can't go in there." And Kat's like, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Tell them not to go in there." And they ignored me because they didn't know who I was. Kat
Mhm.
knew me a little bit and she was just trusting my judgment. And they went in there and shit went sideways. Nell came running out.
They got lit up.
Just
Yeah.
trying to warn you. But don't listen to the bearded one. It's okay, but it's fine.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Oh.
but that's one of the places we're looking at going to because we knew that 3 years ago when we started learning about Edinburgh because we met Kat and everything
Mhm,
because we went on an investigation with her at one point, but at a different location. But we know that 3 years ago the energy that was there is different than the energy is there now.
mhm.
Talking to people who have gone there, they said it's more like the dark energy that was there before has been overtaken by something else. That even though it's not as dark, it's just as controlling of the other spirits that are there. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and then I had an interaction with in the basement. I kept hearing a boy saying it's too loud, and I was trying to focus on them because they were all. I mean, they split in like two or three groups, but they were talking to each other from all across the area.
Mhm.
It's like it's too loud, and I started focusing on him, and he was rocking, and he was doing this, and I was like, "Oh, he's a boy down there that has autism." And so it was identified that yeah, there is a boy down there, and they think he did have autism that actually passed in the area. And
Interesting.
he was rocking, and he was like, it's too loud, it's too loud." And
Wow.
so I picked up on him, like, "Hey, you guys got to, you know." And she was like, "Yeah, that was different. We didn't see that one coming." So yeah, it's nice that I haven't been to the place, but at least I can experience it. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
and that's what I'm kind of now that I know that you have a place. How far apart are you and Stephanie's place? How
Two
far?
hours.
2 hours?
hmm
Hmm.
You could actually make like a really cool road trip, and I don't know that people realize this.
Oh.
That like, so if you go to Sleeper Mortuary,
Hmm.
30 minutes to the north of me is Garnett House in
Okay.
Garnett, Kansas. And then from Garnett, Kansas to McIntyre Villa is an hour and a half.
Yep.
And then from McIntyre Villa to Malvern Manor is 2 hours. And then from Malvern Manor to Villisca is like 45 minutes, or Malvern Manor to Squirrel Cage is also 45 minutes. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can hit quite a few places.
Quite a few places because we've done the squirrel cage as well.
I
Um,
have two.
yep. And that for us it was okay, but we did it during the day while it was open, so other
hmm
people were in there. So I actually did a recording of it, but it was contaminated because I can hear the echoes of the other people. But up in the Warden's area, I did get a
Yeah,
lot of
me
the
too.
senses were like, "Oh, yeah,
Me
this is
too.
where I'm getting it at." So, yep. Um, but there's also have you done the? I don't remember. There's a winery down in that, like in Atchison, Kansas, somewhere. The,
There's
the
Riverwood.
Belvoir.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's in Independence,
Oh, it might be. Yeah, I
Missouri.
think it's Independence. I think you're right there. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's also in that whole line because I know that if you really wanted to do a
I
big
forgot
trip,
that place.
yeah,
Yeah.
we went there for an overnight, and during the night it was kind of rough because it was they were doing like a big get together. So you went with like groups of 10 or 20,
hmm
but they broke us into like three different groups. So some people there just didn't really want to partake. They just kind of talked in the background and everything else. And
hmm
but we did have some pretty interesting stuff. One of the places we had there was there's one of the buildings there that they actually interned German residents during the war, and they
Oh.
held them in there. And we walked into there, and we were doing the flashlight test, and there's a group of us, and we're all asking questions, and I started asking questions in German, and all of a sudden a couple of the lights started going off, and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then the the guide is like, "Oh, you speak German?" I go, "Yeah, can I try something else?" And he's like, "Sure." So I started speaking Polish. Oh my goodness! It was like a strobe light in there. It was like they did not like me speaking Polish in there. So it was.
That will come in handy at Edinburgh.
Oh, will it?
There's a lot of immigrants. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them were Irish and maybe German immigrants. I want to say German was a common one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Fantastic.
that'll come in handy.
That will. Yeah. So.
We've actually gotten Spanish in McIntyre and Malvern.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not one of my seven languages. That's the one I should know the most, but it's not. So.
Uh, I know enough to get me in trouble. That's about it.
Right. Right. I know how to order alcohol. That's it. And I don't even drink. So.
I mean, I know things that should just not be said in public.
Nikki wants to know. Oh no, she's asking. She had to step away. She goes, I don't know if you answered this or not. Do you have the same group of spirits that live in your mortuary? Do you know who they are? Like, do you have?
um, so we're still trying to figure out what is actually occurring at the mortuary, right? Because it's only been open a few months.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what's fascinating about all of it is that we don't really know and we're still trying to figure it out. Some resident spirits that I do know that we have, or that I believe that we have, is Lyman Sleeper and
Mhm.
his wife Eliza. Eliza hangs out in the flower room. Um, she which is kind of weird because like in my mind, Eliza died in like I want to say 1926, 27, 28
Mm,
ish, or excuse me, 1921, 22, 23-ish, somewhere around in there. So
okay.
she died like a few years after the
After the
mortuary was built.
right.
So and she was an old woman.
Mhm.
So I can't imagine that she was working. Um, could she have? Maybe. I mean, back in those days, maybe they were just built different. I don't know. Like I don't know. And the other theory that somebody had presented to me is that maybe she arranged flowers when it was the previous mortuary because it's on the same site. So maybe she did some sort of flower arrangements during that time prior to, which is also possible, I think. But she does hang out in the flower room. And I will say that like the vibe is starting to change with the
Mhm.
mortuary. It started out very pleasant, very sweet.
Uh-oh.
And then now we've gotten to a point to where it's it seems to be I wouldn't say that we have spirits that are of a darker variety there, but I will say that there are some crabby ones that weren't there previous, and I'm not sure if the crabbiness is from the same spirits that have resided there or if it's new spirits coming in. That I don't know. Personally, I've noticed that like in the casket room, you get a lot of get outs and leaves and from the sounds of the EVPs, they mean business.
Mhm.
They're definitely not gentle when they say it. Um, and it seems to be aimed more towards males. And when they're talking about going up to the flower room to talk to Eliza, or they suggest anything with the flower room, or so part of me wonders if maybe it's Lyman being protective over Eliza in a way, or maybe he's feels like somebody's going to hurt her. Like, I'm not sure.
Right.
But part of me just wonders if maybe Lyman is starting to get kind of protective over his wife for whatever reason that may be. I don't know.
Yeah. Kathy stated, I just went out and visited your Facebook page, watched the tour. Awesome looking place.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a Facebook live the other day because I hadn't done that yet. I go live a lot on TikTok,
Yeah.
and like during the day, I'll go and investigate the mortuary on TikTok just to do it, just to see, and I have a lot of fun doing it. But I thought to myself, I never go live on Facebook, so I did a Facebook live and did a tour the other day. And
Awesome.
I actually got off of the Facebook Live because I heard two women talking and I thought my group was here. And my daughter was with me and she heard it too. So I hurried up and got off a live and nobody was there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You can actually hear the women talking at the end of that video.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
pretty cool.
it was caught on camera.
That's awesome.
But nobody was there and I walked outside. There was nobody. There
Nothing.
there there was not even a human on the street.
Yeah. Um, dang it. I had a question. I forgot it. Oh,
I'm sorry.
oh no, it's me. It's definitely just the emptiness in my head. There's way too much room up there and it's lost in the piles of nothingness. Um, any thought process on it? So when you hear the voices, like the more crabby voices, are
Mhm.
they the same? Is it the same voice or does it come in as different voices or I'm just I'm just
I feel
questioning
like
is
it's like a very gruff whisper. So it
okay.
doesn't have like vocal tone to it, so it's hard to say.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Are are you doing a book for yours?
I've considered it. I've done research. I
Yeah.
can prove 2,700 funerals in Lion States that took place on that property between 1866 and 1998. And those are just the ones that I can prove. Now, if I were to do a book on that, that would be like 15 books.
Yeah.
But I am going to print it off and have it available for people to look at and use while they're there
Well, they're here.
to kind of save time. And I think what I'll do is put find a grave information, like the find a grave number on the spreadsheet so that they can go to the find a grave and look up the information themselves. We do have Wi-Fi at the mortuary, so that would also make that process a lot easier.
Do you also have like heat and air conditioning and running water?
I do.
I'm just wondering
Um,
because I know I've been to a few places and they're like going out to the stream to fill up water buckets to make sure you can use the toilet the next day. So
Yeah, the whole upstairs, the living quarters is as comfortable as walking into your own home. It does have heat, it does have air conditioners. That's 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom. Each bathroom has a shower and all showers work. All you have to do is bring a towel, your soap and shampoo, and everybody is more than welcome to shower there. The only thing that I don't provide is beds. Because I'm not there every day, I can't properly sanitize beds, and I don't think that that's fair
right,
to people coming in that are laying on a bed that hasn't been properly taken care of
yeah,
from the person before.
no,
But I also have a full kitchen with a full size refrigerator. There's pots and pans. You can cook for your team if you want to. I just ask that food isn't left unattended unless it's in a crock pot. Free coffee, free hot tea, and free hot chocolate.
yeah. Kathy says the bathrooms are extremely nice. So
Yeah.
someone to
There's
vouch
a
to. So
There's a popular shower there. It's in the master and it's a waterfall shower.
oh wow, yeah,
Everybody likes using it.
yeah. That would be the way to go there. I know you do overnights. Do you do like entire weekends? And is there? I'm. Of course, I'm asking now, um, because my brain's thinking about it already. And do you have a limit on how many people can be as part of the investigative group that goes? A minimum
So
or maximum?
so I do it is rentable. Like you can rent it for as many days as you want to. But you typically get the building from 3 p.m. until 10 a.m. for up to 10 people.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yep. Just trying to get all
And
the
I
information.
do I also do let people hold events there.
Oh, okay, that should be interesting.
Mhm. I'm getting ready to actually do a kids event there on July 5th.
Really?
So it's designed for children between 8 and 17. And it's from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 p.m. And it's basically an introduction to ghost hunting
Oh,
for kiddos.
very cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to introduce them to any equipment?
Uh-huh.
Oh, all
Yep.
right. Yep.
Yep. We're gonna do equipment. We're gonna do some ghost hunting and we're gonna have a pizza party at the end.
Oh man, what time is that? When?
From from
I'm
from 1 to 8
just
on
like, when do I?
January 5th.
I'm just like, when am I heading that direction? So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah. I think you'll have a good turnout because I don't know if you know who Bill Slevin is, but Bill Slevin um, is our director for Paranormal Existence Research Society down in Florida, and
Oh,
he used to work at a youth like I don't know any other way to say it, but then like a youth behavioral location where
mhm.
but he would always put on like he would always do shows for the kids with the equipment and everything else, and they would actually investigate their place, which was known to have stuff there. But these kids are living there, and now they're finding out that where they live is now haunted. So, but it was very well received because they were the kids, and they were just like, "This is awesome. Let's go do this." So I think it's going to be really well received.
Yeah.
I see. I have a yes in my head, but I have to verify it with you because I'm something's telling me to ask the question. In the flower room,
Mhm.
can you smell the flowers?
Um, I have not, but that does not mean. Oh, wait. There are some fake flowers in there that have a rose scent.
Oh, okay. Because
So there's that.
in my head I was wondering what you were talking about. I'm like, I wonder if people smell flowers in there. And then in my head I hear a yes. So I'm like, okay. So
So teams may have, but they haven't told me that personally.
yeah.
But there I did there are some fake flowers in there that do smell like roses.
So we're
So
gonna.
that could be it.
So now it's my turn to shift away, and now we're
I
gonna
love
go.
it.
Now we're gonna go back into your standard investigating time.
Okay.
Is and this is Nikki's question ahead of time before she even asks it, but I'll get to it because I know she's going to ask it. Is there any location? She has two questions actually, because they're standard questions for her. Is there any location that you have gone to before that you're just like, nope, not going back to that one. No, won't do that one again.
No,
No,
not really.
no,
Not really. Um, I've been to places that have scared the shit out of me, but it's never deterred me.
yeah,
Um, to me, that just kind of amps me up and makes me want to go back.
right, right,
So no, like there's no place that I wouldn't visit again.
yeah.
Not so far, anyway. That
Have
may
you
change.
have you been to a location? Because I think McIntyre Villas was actually one of these this happened at. Have you been to a location to where you have either talked out loud, asked a question, done something, and been told, "You're a lady, you can't ask questions. You're a woman, don't ask questions," or "You're a woman, you're not allowed into this area."
I haven't.
Really?
Um, not that I've not that I'm recalling. If they told me that, I didn't listen. I mean, that's for certain.
Right?
Like very very commonly, like at McIntyre, it's like leave, and I'm like, no, thank you,
Yeah,
no thanks.
yeah.
But no, not typically. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anywhere that me being a woman sparked any kind of negative
Huh.
feedback from the spirits. I can't think of any off the
Yeah,
top of my head.
yeah. We read a location, and Nikki went to ask a question. They were like, "No, not you. You're a woman. Don't ask." And she was like, "Wait, hold on, what?" And then there was also another two women on the team as well, and they were like, "Oh hell no!"
That's not how we do it here.
Right? You're in the wrong century, kid. Get out of here. Uh, but then we also went to a location where there was a military room.
Mhm.
So there's a bunch of military, all the medals and everything else, and she was told she wasn't allowed to go in there. It wasn't a place that
Interesting.
she can go into, so it was interesting.
Interesting.
And now she's asking where are the places that scared the shit out of you because that's where we want to go.
Scared the shit out of me. Garnett House. Garnett House gave, okay, so I'm going to give you context, and I don't really, oh, this is the first podcast I've ever talked about it on, right? So, we were at, um, Garnett House, and it was me and a couple of my friends. Stephanie was in this group of people, and we were all female.
Hmm.
Um, we're all really reasonable people. Like, I don't feel like we really get worked up about a whole lot of things, and we don't, um, like I'm very much the investigator that is like, leave, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Right,
Nope, not right now. But so one of the girls went outside to get her bedding for the night, and when they were walking back in, they said that they saw a man standing in the grassy median outside of the Garnett House. Now, Garnett, Kansas, super small town, like the kind of town you can't even fart without your neighbor knowing about it
right.
type town.
Yep. They're like,
And
oh, you have
so,
asparagus. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and that is just not. That should not be happening,
right,
right? And one of the girls that was with her said that they thought that it was like a mailbox or something, right? And the other girl's like, no, it was a man. I'm telling you, it was a man. And this woman was from out of town. She lived on the East Coast somewhere. So they come in and they were kind of freaked out. And so I go upstairs at Garnett and I look out of they have like a room that has a bunch of windows on it,
yep,
and I was looking out of it towards where they said that they saw this man, and I caught a shadow going in front of the house, like it was a humanoid figure going in front of the house. I'm like, oh shit, they really did see a man, right?
right,
So I go downstairs and I'm like, there really is a man out there. Like totally, there really is. So the windows were open because it was a stormy night, right? There was like severe storms in the area and thunder, lightning, and all of the things. So we shut all of the windows because it was hot in there. We shut all the windows, and then upstairs there was a door to that windowed area that I call them a sleeping porch. Like back
Right.
in the old days, they
Yeah.
would have the sleeping porches. That's what this was. So I shut that door and I go back downstairs and we're all sitting there and we hear a man, like more than one, talking outside of the building and we hear him the footsteps and walking in the grass and stuff. And we're like freaking out. We're like, oh shit, like it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So in our heads, we're like, well, maybe people are just see our cars out there and they're trying to scare us because this is a known haunted house, right?
Right.
So about that time, we hear footsteps on the second floor. We hear walking on the second floor. And we're kind of like freaking out at this point. We're like, somebody's in the building. And so, long story short, um, one of the girls in the group called 911 and said that there was an intruder in the house. And I swear to you, there was walking, and you could hear it on the stairs, you could hear it on the second floor. You heard talking, men talking, and when she called 911, I didn't know this, but the police department is a block away.
Mm.
So within seconds, like they were here, and it was lit up like Christmas out there. Like they had two officers come and they had their spotlights on the building. They came in, they cleared the house. They said that when they pulled up, they didn't see anybody. We explained to them what was going on. They went in the house. They had us all come out.
Right.
Like they're like, we're here, come out. And so we all came out and they went in. And they cleared the building and they did not find a soul. And it was all paranormal.
Wow.
It was
So
all
now
paranormal.
the question is, have you gone back since then?
I haven't, but not because I'm scared, but because of opportunity. I just
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Um,
Yeah.
Rosie asked, "Where is the most weirdest place that you've ever been?"
The weirdest?
Yeah.
I mean, they've all been like
Standard
stand
weird.
yeah, just the standard places. Now, like I am not below sitting in a bathtub. I
Mhm.
I will I will sit on an old toilet.
Yeah.
I will do whatever's necessary to elicit a response. The only thing I won't do is crawl into like, under like in dark holes and things like that. And
Yeah.
I will pass out if a spider gets on me.
That's
So
that,
there's that.
that's me. I'll go to the dark. I'm the one I always tell people I have no fear because I'm too dumb to know any better. So it doesn't matter to me. So it's just the way it works.
Yeah,
So,
the fear for me is like spiders and
yeah.
things. Like, whew,
Yeah. And
can't do it.
I ate them when I was in the military. We're out in the field, so they're nothing. So they're just they're just
Nope,
they're just protein.
can't
So
do it.
that's all that
Can't do
is.
it.
Um, well, hell, we've gone about an hour and 10 minutes. So
Nice.
I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions now. Any more spiders? Kathy agrees with you though. She says she hates spiders.
I hate
Um,
spiders
right.
and
Um,
bees.
I'm asking them if they have any questions because I have another one too, but I'm just going to let them give them
No,
the
you're
opportunity.
good.
But I do want to say hi to Laura really quick because Laura popped onto here and she always pops on to say hi, and she's getting ready for work, so she always kind of listens to us. She gets because she works nights, so I always like to say
I,
hi to her and say hi to Laura
I'm
and
a night shifter.
appreciate the
Have a
fact
good
that
night at
she
work.
yep, and actually appreciate the fact she's popping in to say hi. So, um, and then I'll give you some background on some of the people. One of them that popped in, you saw was her name is Zhang. And
Hmm.
you hear me do the time zones in the beginning, and one of them is because Zhang is actually in Indonesia, so
Oh,
she's just
nice.
getting up and she's popping in to listen to us. So that's
Oh,
always
nice.
fun to have people that I got
Well,
one getting
thanks
up, I
for
got one going to
watching.
work. So yeah, I got them
Yeah,
all over the place.
thanks
Um,
for watching.
absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to have my question then.
Okay.
Um, oh, and Rosie says, Google the life of a spider and you'll change your mind. So I don't know if that's directed at me or at you, but
I don't need to Google it.
but so with a lot of the places you've been, where's your bucket list that you want to go to that you haven't
You know,
been?
one thing, like one place that I think would be absolutely legendary to investigate is Hart Island, off of the coast of, I think it's New York.
Yeah, I say off New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't think it's ever been investigated, but I do know that because I've researched it. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people buried out there for one,
Really?
and yeah, that's like where a lot of their paupers' graves are. A lot of the people that died in the AIDS epidemic back in the like 80s,
Hmm.
they were all taken out there and buried. COVID deaths, they were taken out there and buried. And if you look at it on like Google Maps, there you can see like remnants of buildings, and I believe that they had an old TB hospital.
Mm.
So a lot of like your plague victims, like your pandemic victims of whatever, pick your pandemic, whether it's the Black Plague, the COVID, HIV, tuberculosis,
Right.
a
Kind of
lot of
one of them. Yeah.
like pandemic people were buried out there. And they actually do have a website. It's kind of cool that you can go on and look at people that are buried out there, and they put like little time clocks on them,
Hmm.
so you can see how long that they've been buried out there. Off of uh, people that have passed away that were John Does or Jane Does, all out there on Hart Island. And I think it would be absolutely fascinating to see what you would come in contact with out there.
Yeah. I I asked this question kind of in my office a lot too sometimes, just because I want to see people's gauge because they know what I do and they think I'm nuts, and they're not far off. But sometimes I'll ask them, hey, what would be your bucket list? And one of them came up with a very interesting one. Like that was a very interesting one. But he said Chernobyl. He goes, that would be really interesting to see. Like his mind wanders like mine does. Like if you see
Mhm.
them, what do they look like? You
Right, right.
know,
That's an
four
interesting one.
eyes and
And I do think that they have. I've seen videos of people that are all in the garb that go through there, but man, you get so much radiation.
oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
I don't think there's much that can hurt my body anymore though, so I think I'd be fine. I would just hope it would turn me into like a superpower, but
right, you come out with like a steel arm or something.
something like that. Um, Zhang is asking, since when have you been writing books? Since when did you write books?
Ooh, I've been writing books for, gosh, I'm trying to think of when I wrote. Malvern was my first one, and I can't remember the copy date on it, the copyright date on it, but I want to say 4 years,
Hmm.
4 years, 5 years
Yeah,
ish, something like that
ish.
ish.
Yeah, because I know it was out when I got my abilities because when Kat was reading it, my abilities came into place in 2022. So I know that it was after that or before that because she already had it and she was like, I want to read this. So
Yeah,
yeah, so that's kind of cool.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's do you know? Do you just straight up know what your next book, what location is going to be for?
Right now, I'm working on a series for Asylum 49. I've got two of the five books done because we are Randolph County Infirmary. That's when I learned that you need to split books when you have a certain number, because if you don't, then you end up with a tome of a book, and
Right.
it's uh, it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just a lot, and um, but I like outside of that, I typically work on more than one book at a time because I get burnt out. Like
Mm.
I get burnt out on one location. Like I like
Yeah.
to keep things kind of like going in my brain. I thought about Ashmore Estates.
Mm.
Um, but no, I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it. And right now I've run into the problem of trying to find balance between work and just personal life,
Yeah.
because I've added the mortuary to the mix.
Right.
So trying to find time to do everything that's required for that building, plus being a mom, plus working my full-time job, plus writing books and all of the chaos in between.
Yeah.
Um, I'm struggling to find balance at this point. So I'm not sure how the books are going to go. I know that I'm going to continue to write them. I just don't know.
They may just be a little slower.
Right. Right.
I I laughed because I have to answer this question for Rosie because she's like, tell me she had someone walk in front of her light, just seen a shadow. Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. She's walking around.
And I laughed. I laughed because I watched her go one way, and I watched her go the other way, and I laughed because it came when she went one way, and then she walked back the other way, and I haven't answered the question yet. So I know people are like, I saw it again. So yeah,
Yeah.
Kathy did the same thing. She said, Rosie, I saw it too. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was my kiddo.
yeah. So she's not haunted in her house.
Nope.
She hasn't brought anything home with her yet.
Nope.
But I think this is a good time to wrap it up. But I
Sounds
want you to do me a
fantastic.
favor
Yes,
first.
sir.
I have this playing across the bottom, sleepermortuary.weebly.com. For those people who are listening to me, that's why I'm saying it out loud. Tory Westhoff, sleepermortuary.weebly, weebly.com. All right. So if y'all want to go out there, take a look at it, see what's out there, see if you want to plan an investigation. Now, can they schedule through there to for the time frames and everything else?
Yes. So,
Okay.
on the menu on the website, you can hit the calendar tab, and it opens up the Google Calendar, and you can see what dates are open and which ones are reserved.
Okay.
Now, there are two sections. The one that says book your stay or book your night, reserve your night. That is the one that you fill out if you want to do an overnight with your team. The one below that that says book your event, that is if you want to have an event at Sleeper Mortuary. I do not take care of tickets. That is like all on the person booking, because it's a private event, but you are able to rent the building and sell tickets up to 40 people. You can have up to 40
Awesome.
tickets for your event.
And it looks like I have another question for you.
Okay.
Um, Rosie's asking, is your daughter afraid of the house or the mortuary?
No.
No.
She goes in there with me. Now, I will say that she has a healthy um, reserve for it. Will she walk around in the building by herself? Absolutely not. Um, will she walk around with me and try to investigate if the opportunity presents itself? Yeah, she will.
Ooh,
And she enjoys it. She enjoys it, but she does get afraid. But she does a pretty good job of trying it anyway. Like I said, she won't go off by herself.
right. But we
But
should
yes.
teach them not to go off by themselves. Always be in pairs.
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah. So I have another daughter, and she is 20 years
Okay.
old, and she does investigate too. She'll come down and investigate and stuff.
So for everybody else, that just like clicked in my head because I'm like, you don't look old enough to have a 20-year-old daughter.
I
So,
do. I have
so
a 20-year-old and a 10-year-old.
it just clicked when you said that. I went, really? And
Yep,
I look
I
like
do.
this. So,
I haven't even had to dye my hair yet.
oh
Like, I got
man,
some grays starting.
me too. I got a little bit, a little bit.
I don't know. I blame it on my ethnicity, my aging well.
Yeah, and Kathy responded, "I'm more curious as to why the thing fell off Tom's wall at the beginning of the show."
Right?
Right?
It's Lyman, I'm telling you.
And it was funny too because I didn't understand when you said when you and Steph said it's Lyman, but you explained who Lyman was, so that's perfect. So now I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I know Lyman came over and slapped it off the wall and said, "All right,
Yeah. Just
be
say,
nice,
damn it, Lyman.
right?" He's like, "Be nice to her because she's good to me." So she's all
Now,
right.
I
Sorry,
will
sorry,
say
Lyman.
that I feel like I have a really good rapport with Lyman.
Yeah,
I think that um, I really enjoy him.
yeah,
Like if it is him getting grumpy, just from like a mediumship aspect, I've been told by a medium that was there that he really does adore me, and he follows me around when I'm in the building, and he's protective over me. He's protective over his building. From what I understand, he used to run a pretty tight ship. He is very, um, What term would I use? Dapper,
Hmm.
like very well put together, very professional, very why are you here? Don't you know it's beyond business hours? What are you doing here? Can you read? Can you write? Those are things that he has asked. Um, but I also feel like he has a lot of room for some humor
Mhm.
as well. So I really kind of cut up when I'm in there, and like I'll drop the broom and I'll be like, "Damn it, Lyman." Um, so it's kind of become a joke, and I think I'm gonna get T-shirts with like hashtag "Damn it, Lyman" on it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of been the running joke of the mortuary.
yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, believe it or not, um, it was funny. You saw me shake my head for a second, and it's because you were saying, "Oh, well, I think he does this, and I think he did this," and I started hearing voices, and I'm like, "Okay, look." Trying to listen to her, not to you
Tell
right
me what he said.
now. So, well, it was like I mean, it was very quick answers, and it was very much a male voice. So you're like, I think he appreciates me being there, and it was an I do, and this it was just like very quick, like answers to what you were saying, like confirming. So that's why I shook
Oh,
my head. I was like, oh come on. So I'm like,
so he
damn it,
does
Lyman.
run a tight ship.
I'm like, damn it, Lyman.
Yeah, damn it, Lyman.
Now I'm about to get a
Uh,
shirt. So
yeah, I do think that that's going to be a mortuary shirt. Like
yeah,
once I get a logo figured out and all of
see,
that stuff.
see, now
Um,
it's becoming famous. So just
yeah, damn it, Lyman.
damn it, Lyman.
So like, and I do it everywhere. Like, when we first bought the mortuary, when I first bought the mortuary, me and Stephanie were at the Walmart and we were getting food because it was me and my best girlfriends were going to stay the night at the mortuary for the first night, and we were going to investigate, and it was just us, and it was just girl time and just celebrating the win. You know what I mean? And so we were at the grocery store getting snacks, and while we were standing there, behind us was like bread,
Mhm.
and like the bread flew off of the shelf, like it just landed on the floor. And I turned around and I looked at it and I go, "Damn it, Lyman." And that is like where that was born. That because we were sitting there talking about the mortuary and the history, and that is kind of like where that whole thing started. And ever since then, it's just been
Just been the
a
go-to.
staple.
Yep.
It's a staple.
Ajang does have a question. So Ajang does have
Yeah.
a child. He's a boy. Fantastic. I love this guy. But she says, I heard that you have investigation with children. How was your experience investigating with them, and how did the children react?
You know, I typically, whenever, because I do have other friends that have children that have been at the mortuary, and I will say this, like I always have a good time with children
Mhm.
because children are very simple creatures. They're very literal, they're
Yes.
very simple. They don't look at a situation and read into it. They don't come up with all these alternate scenarios. It's just whatever comes in their brain, and it's usually the simplest form of problem solving, right? Because they don't have life experience, they don't have, they've never really been burned by somebody, and they haven't had all of these circumstances that would open up different problem solving techniques. So a lot of times they're very, very simple, and they come up with the best freaking ideas
Right.
ever and like the best questions, and they're very, I love it for that reason. It's they're 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 very simple, and it makes it so cool because while we're sitting here like racking our brains trying to come up with a question to ask
Right.
or a reason for whatever, they just pop it off because that's how they think every day, and it's sometimes some of the most epic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. She has an older son. His name is Azar, and I think he has abilities.
Hmm.
But I don't think he's tapped into them fully yet because I don't think he knows how to if
Hmm.
he wants to yet or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's interesting to because I've seen and heard what they do and everything else, what her and her son do and stuff like that
Hmm.
over in Indonesia and stuff like that. And I still think he's a little timid of him.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
But I think if he embraces them, he'll be fantastic at it. But I don't know
And
if
the
that's
more he does it, the more used to it he's going to
yep.
get.
And it's
Like
always around him. It happens in their house a lot, so he's always around it. So
and I think that like when you're that little and you already have abilities, I don't think it's anything that you're never not going to have. Like I
right,
think it's always going to be a common theme in your life. It's always going to be present, and learning how to manage it is probably like one of the most imperative things for
yeah,
him.
yep. So great. Okay, so bottom. Tory Westhoff, sleepermortuary.weebly, weebly.com. That's where you can go to find out all the information about the Sleeper Mortuary. If you want to reserve it, reach out to there. Remember, one is for actually reserving it for people who want to do the investigations. If you see the word event, those are for the actual events you can hold there, up to 40 people. Going through that site alone. But otherwise, the one on the top is not for holding events for like birthday parties. It's the top one is investigations. So,
Mhm.
um, but do me a favor also and let people know the We Are books. Where can they find them at?
You can find them on Amazon, but also if you just message me via Facebook, my the Sleeper Mortuary phone number is on the website. You can also just shoot me a text. They're cheaper through me, and through me you get the spiral bound version, and they come with free shipping and they come signed.
Awesome.
So
That's
it's the
fantastic.
easiest. Yep.
All right. So, so now I think we're going to close it down. We went,
Awesome.
yeah, we went like an hour and a half. It flew right by. So
Didn't seem like it.
I'm like, wow, it's not even dark outside yet. But that, simply because it's uh-oh. Um, sorry, Jane sent out this thing and she said, Tom, I haven't written you the new incident yet. My phone contacted Meta AI by itself without me knowing. Her phone's been doing all weird stuff, but I think her phone is attached to a family member or a past family member, so I think that's kind of
Mm.
how it plays. But everyone's saying goodnight. But I do want to say thank you for coming on my show. You were an absolute blast.
Oh,
Um,
thank you for having me.
I loved having you on here, and I'm so happy that you agreed. I still have to find a way to get Stephanie on here and have her come on and talk about McIntyre and everything you guys do together as well. Um,
Yeah.
I may try to finagle both of you on at the same time. That would be. I wouldn't have to say
Oh,
a word. I'd just sit back and listen to you two talk. That would
it
be.
might be pure chaos.
Uh,
Be
I'm
careful what you wish for.
I'm good at a controlled chaos. That's about it. And I think I'd be okay there. I did have on a handful of people that came on my show because I can have up to 10 people at a time.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I have had people on to where it was fantastic. Like I had on the Peaches, um, Taryn Kerper's group. I had on the
Oh,
Paranormal
yes.
Peaches, and I just sat back and just I
The
introduced
show
and then
ran itself.
introduced and I closed down. That's all I had to do. It was fantastic. So one
I
of the
love it.
easiest shows I've ever done. But but again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. Like I
Thank you
said,
for having me.
if you want to hang out, I'll be right with you. If you have to go, I
Okay.
completely understand.
Thank you,
But
everybody.
I will put you in the back, and I will be right with you.
All right.
All right, thanks. All right, everyone, that's the show. Quick change, really quick. There's all my stuff down at the bottom. You know where to find it. Stuff I never learned at everything.com. It's kind of how I run it. So that way I can actually keep everything in line. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Kick. It's all stuff I never learned. And my Gmail is just as simple as stuff I never learned at gmail.com. Now, I am looking down because I'm trying to find my next show. And I know a lot of you might be a little disappointed, but there's going to be a time here shortly where shows are going to be few and far between, and it's because I'm doing a lot of traveling between work and time off with Nikki since she is better to travel now. But let's see, my next show right now is going to be next week. It is going to be the 9th of June, and I have on R.L. Foster. She is fantastic. She's been on my show once before, but I absolutely love her, and I asked her to come back again because she has moved and she has done a bunch of different stuff since she's been on the show about a year ago. So I'm looking forward to her coming back. But everybody, do me a favor. As always, stay safe. Much love.